Good morning, people. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you all doing? Good morning. Yes, this is Spirit Journey. This is Spirit Journey. Today is Saturday. Good morning, Saturday. Good morning. It is September 23rd, 2023, and it's about 5:20 something in the morning. Yes, it's been a couple of days since I did a morning live stream. Yes, I got up. Oh, wow. Yeah, I got up about, I woke up it was about a quarter to 4 in the morning. Yeah, I woke up with a dry mouth, people. I was sleeping on my back, have my pillows, prop my head up, and my ears were ring. I heard like a loud ringing noise. And I thought, oh, is it my device? Because I have my device in my room. And I realized it's no device, it's me. I find that, I was wondering, guys, if you notice when uh, your hydration status, does your ears start to make these weird noise? And I'm taking these supplements for, um, you call it tinnitus, ears ringing. Or these weird phenomena coming from one or both of your ears. Well, it was loud. Yeah, I got up. I said, oh, I forgot to take my supplement for my ears. So I took some um, couple of minutes ago, and I drank my water with minerals and salts in it. First thing I do in the morning, get that water. Yeah, I feel very dehydrated. And again, I've been in this building for 20 years now, and it's the past 2 years that this phenomena of all of a sudden getting real dry mouth. My eyes are even now getting drier. I think my eyes are getting drier because I'm on the internet. um, and I find also now, when I go outside, now I wear a brimmed hat and sunglasses. And sometimes it's not enough. My eyes are sensitive too. So I'm just saying, and wondering whether any of you have noticed certain changes in your body and you're very health conscious. Just putting it out there. Yeah, I just felt that I needed to share that. Yeah, start noticing people, anything different happening within your being that's interfering with your personal wellness. So, anyways, what I want to talk about today is yeah, and I have to be very careful what I share. I want to talk about the some of the social things that are happening socially here in New York City, the Big Apple. Um, yeah, I want to talk about just you know me, I kind of like wing it. um, I think these are radical times, and I wanted to talk about like certain things that I've seen in my time here, my adult life in New York City. And what we're experiencing now in New York City, those of you who have been watching the news in New York, um, this was in the making, I realize, for many years. And that's basically what I want to talk about. And I want to also talk about um, how it affects me. Things that I hear about what some people are doing now. How the signs of the times are affecting people. How is it affecting black people, black women like myself. Um, I mean, I shared a little bit about things, the past year. But I just, something you just kind of like gotta recap everything. And you know that sometimes you may have to do random things that, like, one might say, before you do something, you better do your homework. And I agree. You better do your homework about certain things. But sometimes um, instinct. And no matter what you do, you can cross your T's and dot your I's. But sometimes it's not enough. And it's always going to be something. And that you may have done your homework. And the honeymoon may last for a couple of weeks, couple of months, and then boom, the honeymoon is over. No matter what you do, it's going to hit you. Yeah, I even do. Yeah, I do have a tarot card deck. I mean, I have several tarot card decks, and I've been in this radical times. I did go on these. I did a reading. I did my own personal reading, and it is something else. I know it's like, what, spirit journey? You gotta use it. you know, um, sometimes unconventional, not the word unethical, but unconventional methods that might seem totally unprofessional, unwise, but sometimes they actually work. These tarot cards, if done right. Yep, and it's really something that yeah, I've done a tarot card reading. Remember a couple years back, I did one on Trump and Clinton about the presidential election, and it came out accurate. I did both a separate reading for both of them live on air on my YouTube channel. Yeah, it came out uncannily accurate. It's really something. Now, some people might say, it's not a science. Well, modern science isn't science either. Modern science is not science. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. Happy Saturday morning. Thank you for waking up with me. But either way, unconventional times require sometimes unconventional uh, means of action. And yes, yes, the signs of the times. Sometimes when you are here in your room, living in crazy New York City, where I live, black woman, born and raised here, and you see cuckoo-ness going on around you, and you ask yourself, what is going on? So basically, I'm going to talk about experiences over the course of time and maybe some radical things to try to navigate in this, because there's no logic in the situation what is happening here in New York City. I was just watching this program by, her name is Peggy Hall. She, with Healthy American, Peggy Hall. Uh, she lives in California. And yes, she does her homework regarding what's happening in her neck of the woods. And our rights are being taken away. our rights. And she has a guest. She interviewed someone last night, and I was just getting it today, this morning. And she's interviewing this woman that's here in New York City, and about the oh, what do you call it? Quarantine laws that were enacted in New York City. Now they're laws. And with the law, we're supposed to be protected by the law, but sometimes there are uh, unjust or unconstitutional recommendations, not laws. Only Congress can pass laws. It has to go through a whole process. Remember that with the Constitution, so it's supposed to protect us, but people are trying to convince us that we live in a democracy. No, we live in a constitutional republic. A constitutional republic, people. Don't forget that. But they keep using, well, we want a democracy. No, you don't want a democracy. Democracy means majority rule. Democracy means majority rule. Well, remember back in the day, during slavery, who was the majority rule and who was the minority? And what happened to that minority during the time of slavery? I'm just saying. It's not about majority rule in America because we have a constitutional republic to follow the laws that are written down for your protection because people knew back then whether they were slave or free. They, the so-called free people, yeah, they wanted a law that, because see, they knew that laws could be changed, and so they wanted something to try to safeguard their personal safety and rights, because they knew down the road that certain things may be twist, because they may become the new minority, whatever, and their rights could be taken away. Just saying, people. So, um, yeah, the Peggy Hall had, yeah, I generally don't give names of other YouTubers, but um, she's really been a front runner with a lot of awareness about our rights. She's not a lawyer, but she's a teacher, and she knows a lot about the law. And she, during the time of, I call it C-19, that's COVID-19, okay, if you know, I have to talk in code, um, that when that was in the heat of all America, she exposed a lot of the things that were being done against our constitutional republic. And they were bullying people to do things against their rights. And so she's interviewing someone on her channel. I think it just came out yesterday. And she's this lady that she interviewed um, was talking about New York City, where I live, and that they were taking this it's the Department of Health. The Department of Health is not. I mean, it's an institution. It is in a bureau, I think, but it's not a law buying. It's not a. They do not create laws. You know, um, they can make recommendations to the law body here, in the state of New York, but it goes through a process. Well, there were laws that they were uh, initiated by the Department of Health. These things against the public well-being, that they could um, take people and quarantine them in their home, or get this, they could quarantine you in some facility beyond your control. They could just say, we think that you are at risk, and in essence, kidnap you and put you in a facility. Did you know, people? I'm not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer, but if you ever get put in a hospital, well, for one thing, you could deny treatment. It is your right as an American citizen of this great republic, your rights as its citizen, you could refuse treatment of any kind, whether, you may want to, you may not want to be treated for anything. Look at people with these weird sexually transmitted diseases. And they may say, I don't feel like being treated for that. Or let's say they have a mental issue. I don't want to take those meds for that either, for my schizophrenia, whatever what they have. That is their right as an American citizen, that you can refuse treatment even if you are sick. It is your right. And it's also your right, you don't have to be observed. Let's say someone says that somebody is crazy and locks them up in a mental institution. Did you know it is your right to not be observed? Some of these places, they have like a little window or something, they observe you. Well, did you know that you have the right to say you do not want to be observed? That is your right. Just saying, people, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. And if they want to give you cuckoo medicine, you have a right to refuse. They said, I refuse treatment. That is your right. Your body, your rights. Just saying, and I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not giving out law advice. I'm just saying to my conversation here, you go to your lawyer and get the advice that you need. So, this person being interviewed by Peggy Hall, a YouTuber, um, uh, did a lawsuit on the city to expose that these laws are not laws regarding quarantine. Yeah, they're trying to do it again, people. They're trying to do it again, these quarantine. Yeah, it's slowly they're picking up and trying to, scare people and say, oh, so and so got the COVID-19. Uh-oh, right? They want to try to push the narrative like they did last year and the year before, lockdowns, fear mongering. And again, my point, my interest here in doing this live stream is not to put fear into people, but to share my thoughts on my experience in the Big Apple, New York City, and what's going on. So this person being interviewed is talking about and suing the state that it's unethical. I mean, it's unconstitutional. That's what I meant to say. It's unconstitutional what's being done. See, once someone gets a foot in the door to do something against your constitutional rights, they will push more and more and more. And that's what's happening in New York City. For example, the migrants here in New York City. I was told that 10,000 people a month are being migrant to New York City. Right now, there's over 100,000 that are living in New York City. I live in the heart of New York City. And all of it, it's like all over. And it's beyond my comprehension. It's like overnight. But remember, I've been talking about this for a while. Like at first, I thought, is this my imagination? And I shared with you guys about a week ago. It wasn't a good feed. I did get a cell phone, and I was doing a live feed on it. Uh, but I guess it's a weak connection on this new phone. It's not doing it well. I used to remember I used to do that a couple of years ago. Do my share my walks to the park with my dogs. Remember that? And I stopped doing that. Um, but I used to do it all the time. But now it's like we have a poor connection. But either way, I showed you guys the migrant house. It's a hotel. It was a famous hotel in its day in the 1980s. And yes, 70s, 80s. And now it's housing migrants. And it seems like every migrant center are a slew of what do you call it? They're not mopeds. They're faster than mopeds. They go up to 80 miles an hour. You heard right, 80 miles an hour. These things go. Where did these motorcycles come from, or whatever what you call these bikes? Who gave it to them? And it's a whole pack of they're packed in. And it's like they came overnight, these bikes. If they're poor and down and out, and they cross in the River Grande to get here, and then they are being bussed here in New York City. They're being bussed here in many cities, not just New York City. Um, so where did they put the bikes? Where did the bikes come from? Did they put the bikes on the buses? I don't think so, people. Well, someone must be buying the bikes. And remember with Antifa 2 years ago and BLM? Remember that we were having these demonstrations in the street and some weird people with masks on, like a face coat, like a ski mask on. And I caught the video. I shared the video. And someone grabbed that individual that was causing, they were damaging the sidewalk. They had hammers and they were breaking up the sidewalk to use as projectiles and throw it at people. And they were tackled down. And then they pulled off the hood that was on their face. Oh, yes. These weren't black people at all. It was Antifa. Yep. So you have people who kind of try to blend in. You can spot them out. They have the shape of their body. They wear certain types of clothes, and they tend to be real skinny and lanky. Just something about them. Basic. People have basic body types. New York people. People in New York City. The local blocks. We tend to have a certain type of body. We tend to be bigger. Big bones, right? But there's a skinny, tall, it's just weird. And we never did this type of behavior before, okay? And even though they were telling you it's a BLM protest, and they were wearing all black and wearing these black hoods, well, someone pulled it off on video, and I shared that video. And this was Antifa, an Ashkenazi looking person, right? A Marxist, a socialist, a communist person. So, some things aren't what it appears. But either way, this was what was happening. And they were trying to get people to do certain things, to implement certain lockdowns. scaring people to stay at home. You saw videos of Antifa giving black people money and having them go on their bikes and do who knows what. Oh, yes. And I shared that video also. Candid video. Yeah, that was like 2 years ago now. So now you have a new kid on the block. They're coming from, no, and again, I'm not anti immigrant. I'm anti sabotage. I'm anti social engineering to harm our constitutional rights for safety. And if these quarantines that they're trying to reenact in New York City, and you have some great citizens here who are exposing what is going on in New York City, and people trying to enact unjust law. It's not even a law because the Department of Health cannot pass a law. It can go to Congress, it can make recommendations, whatever, but it in itself cannot take away your rights as a citizen of this great country that somebody's trying to sabotage. Yeah, I'm born and raised here, and I am a veteran. And this is my country and your country, you U.S. citizens, and you legal residences who love and respect the customs and language of this beautiful country that someone's trying to mess over. So, so how could, if they're trying to reenact, they're trying to pump in the COVID ID 19 back in the public and trying to scare you again and require you to get the jab in the arm, okay? And we saw that it had an adverse effect on people. So how come, if this is so necessary, why are you bringing in these migrants slash illegals and giving them more rights than the citizens of this great city? I'm just asking people. Use your mind. Start thinking. So in my neighborhood, there's this, I showed you the hotel and the bikes, and they hang out and do nothing. Did you know that in New York City with the, okay, I'm back on. My screen just went blank. Okay, I'm back on now. Let me know if you can hear me. Please, put a like a type of one that you can hear me because the screen just went blank. Okay, let me continue. See, they don't want me to talk about this thing, and that's why I have to try to talk in code because of the algorithms. They don't want certain topics to be discussed. See, they don't even want me to say that this is a great country. Well, anyway, um, common sense. Now, if they want to implement this quarantine, see, they want to take away your rights, and once they get a stronghold, they could just say, you look funny. We think that you are we're going to have you quarantined. We're going to put you in a facility. So, if this is such a danger now, and for the fall is coming, now it's getting cold in New York. Yeah, for the past 4 days, it's been cool in the morning. It's in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Yeah, I mean, I like my dogs like it. Yeah. Um, so so the flu season is basically here, and so if it was so dangerous for the citizens, and everybody has to be in quarantine. How come you're bringing in these migrants? 10,000 migrants a day enter New York City. There are now over 100,000 migrants here. And I was told that they are given 2 months stay at these shelters. And after 2 months, they have to leave. Where they're supposed to live, people? Please tell me. Where are they supposed to live? That, we had the COVID the past 3 years, and much of the businesses were closed down. I think maybe 25% of the businesses that's been here for many, many years are closed. And people lost jobs. And who is usually the first to become unemployed? People. Who is the last hired and the first fired? People, you tell me. Who is the first, I mean, the last hired and the first fired? Black people. In New York City, you have a growing number, especially of our black men, who are vilified. And some of them are acting like villains, yes, because of the hardship. If someone treats you like an animal, you're going to start acting like an animal, many of us. They're doing drugs. They're even doing IV drug use openly in the street. I've been here, I'm born and raised here, and my adult life in this city, this part of the city, for 43 years, I've been coming to Manhattan. 43 years. And never in those times did I ever see IV drug use. But you see it now. So, yeah, the, these members of my community have lost their minds. But yet, no one puts them in shelters or make it mandatory, what do you call, quarantine them for their health. They're not being quarantined for their health. During the COVID, they were on the street. And they didn't wear any mask. And they were having a good time socializing on the corner of the street. And it seemed like none of them were getting this COVID-19. But anyways, it's just an observation. But okay, okay, so I can't even say that. I can't even spell out that word. You notice when I spell that word, it does the thing. And I'm charged up. I'm charged. My batteries are strong. Okay. So, okay, so I can't say that word anymore. Okay, so if these black men are on the street and they're healthy, they even, I mean, it's the people who are on those long lines. We have a thing called emergency, urgent care. And you know who you see on that line? A long line of young white people. They look like people in their early 20s and 30s. These are one of the stronger demographics. So why are they the only ones on the line to find out their status? And they're wearing that thing on their face, and they look and sit, what's going on? But you see the drug addicts on the street, and they're happy as a bird at that time, 3 years ago in 2020 and 2021. Yeah, it was 2020. What's going on? And that's what gave me a clue in part that this thing is not real. But if you can convince a population that something's real, then it becomes real for them and they could get sick. You can make yourself sick. If you believe something enough, you can make yourself sick. Just saying, it's just my opinion that I'm sharing. Again, I'm not a doctor, and I cannot give out medical treatment or advice, but I can share with you what I've done upon myself. And again, you go see your own private doctor for your personal wellness. But anyways, so if these drug addicts who need intervention to protect themselves are not being hauled away into the hospital or whatever, if the Department of Health it doesn't deem that a medical emergency, an urgency of the growing numbers of homeless, addicted, because remember, living on the street is a health hazard, right? There were rats on the street too that I reported. Yeah, I had to contact the city, the government agencies, because there was an influx of rats along 8th Avenue in New York City. It was a swarm of them. A swarm. What do I consider a swarm? About maybe 20 in a cluster that was by this garbage. Yeah, also during that time in 2020 and 2021, especially 2021, there were piles of garbage that were, they ripped the plastic bags, the garbage bags, and all the garbage, food stuff is strewn all over the sidewalks and streets. And so it was, isn't that a health hazard? Because it was that rats could bring disease. Did you know that? Did you know that that could happen? But see, they didn't crack down on that, the city, even though I had to call them several times regarding the rat situation and the garbage. Just saying. So what happened now? So now you have over 100,000 migrants slash illegals in the United States, and 70% of them statistically would not qualify for their asylum seekers. Okay? So that only means 30% of the people uh, could probably stay here, but the bulk of them, 70%, don't qualify and they have to leave. Well, did you know that most of the people do not appear? Okay, okay, I'm back on. See that? See what happened? I can't even say the M word. Okay, you see, like every time I use that M word, it happens again. The screen went blank, and again, my battery is charged. Okay, so what happens next now? So when these people come, um, they don't have to. There's no curfew on them. Uh, those people, those Americans who are in the shelters, they have a curfew. They have to be in bed by 10 p.m. They have to be in their beds, or they'll lose their bed for that evening. Well, those people, the I don't even want to spell the word, but it starts with the letter M. Um, they don't have to be in their rooms. They don't have to be in their bed. They hang out outside, right? And do whatever what they feel like doing. And there's more and more reports that they are starting to attack the residences that live nearby. And as I shared a couple of videos ago, the New Yorkers, the true New Yorkers here, Staten Island and this other place, are speaking out and they're protesting. That's what's happening here. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. Welcome this beautiful Saturday morning, early morning. Thank you for coming on with me. So, So, how is it that those people that I'm talking about who enter without um, authorization, how is that they don't have a curfew, um, but American citizens will lose their beds in the shelter if they don't come in? They will lose it. So how is that? So isn't that discrimination? I'm just asking people, is that discrimination when you say one group could do something and another group can't do it, yet they're doing the same thing? They want to do the same thing, okay? Just saying. And if this quarantine is trying to be reactivated in New York City, um, when these people enter the U.S., there is no quarantine for them. They can enter with immunity. They can get jobs unlawfully. They can go in the shelter. Now, I thought that to go in the shelter, you have to have shots because see, you're living in close proximity to other people, and it's a fear of getting disease like tuberculosis, TB. You in a facility, you have to prove you don't have TB. So how come they're not getting tested for TB? How come they're not in quarantine um, from the U.S. citizens who have to prove that they have certain shots, whatever? It's not happening. And we already, oh, if I haven't said, yeah, we have a black mayor. Now, he allowed them in, but his name is Adams. Oh, I forget his first name. I'm sorry about that. Governor Adams, but I forget his first name. Well, either way, him doing nothing set the stage of permission, so to speak. If you don't say anything, people assume that it's okay. He said nothing. And now he comes on social media, in the news, reporting that uh, we lost the battle, something to that effect. Could you believe it, people? Could you believe that? Our own mayor. Yeah, he's from Jamaica, Queens. A real, at least it used to be a real black. It was one of the blackest cities, ghetto area in Queens, and that's where he's from. And I was told that he was a police officer, and I think he moved up the ranks. But yeah, he was in law enforcement. So he knows the deal. He knows all what's going on. But anyways, it doesn't make sense, people, that they're trying to implement the quarantine again. Um, at any the this mandate or whatever what you call it, it's not, the Department of Health cannot pass a law upon its citizens, and they are wording this so-called law with a broad brush. They use vague terminology that could be interpreted very broadly. And they can take you and put you in a quarantine camp. And I'm concerned about that. So also what I wanted to talk about, because I said I wanted to talk about the the trends that I notice here. Well, I was just, in bed earlier this morning, and when I woke up, I started thinking about my life and the things that I experienced. This crisis that we've been having has been going on for a while. Um, And it's been happening under our noses. And no one said a damn thing. I'm just trying to put the dots together, people. I'm going to be going back in time slowly. Again, I've been an adult, adult for 43 years, living as, adult here, and what I witnessed. I had an opportunity to take this bus ride to New Jersey, and I was headed south New Jersey. And I took it at the Port Authority bus station in the heart of New York City. And I've taken the buses at the Port Authority before, because I used to have this friend that lived in New Jersey, and I would go over on the weekends. Well, it changed the demographics. You don't see any typical American, New Yorkers going home on, through the Port Authority. You don't see them. But when I went on, I saw remarkably people on the bus that looked like the people from those areas in the Americas, um, and somehow they got in. And I was with a person, a local New Yorker, like myself, that looked like me. But everybody else, we were the only two that looked like what we looked like. And everybody else were those people that look like from other nations that are unlawfully being allowed to come across the borders without being tested for or quarantined or tested for um, health status. But you Americans, you black Americans, have to be tested to be in a shelter. I'm just saying. Again, isn't the Department of Health supposed to be about our protection? And that's why they're being so aggressive with the laws that they want to try to illegally push upon you, its citizen. I'm just asking. I'm just questioning. So I'm on this bus. So I said, okay, maybe they're just going to be on for the first two stops or something and they're going to get off. Well, I was almost at the end of the ride on this bus. And okay, I'm back on. See, it did it again. It doesn't want me to talk to you guys. It doesn't want me to talk. Let me know if you can hear me. Yeah, it went black again, the screen. Is it going black on your side? Is the audio going also? That means I have to hurry up and do this thing. I do like to take my time. But either way, okay. So going back in time again. Um, I was the only one, me and the person I was with were the only one that looked like what we looked like. And for them to get, let's say they got a monthly ticket. That monthly ticket is a couple of $100s. It's a lot of money. We were almost at the end of the route in southern Jersey. Okay, that is a ride. So we were already on the bus for about 2 hours when I got off, and they're still on. No, none of them got off. I said, wow, who's financing them to take this ride all the way down to get their monthly ticket? Again, it's none of my business. And again, they might be uh, vetted to do what they're doing. They might have their permit, the green card. But my instincts are saying something is fishy. And this was maybe 4 years ago. And I didn't expect it. I said, I felt like, whoa, what country am I in? And no, I'm not trying to be biased against anybody, but it's just my instincts. Something says something stinks. And I used to be in an industry um, where they flock to. Yeah, when you're first coming into New York and you're coming from certain locations, there's certain, people generally go into jobs where their buddies go in. Their buddies say, hey, I got a job at such and such place or such and such industry here in America. Yeah, yeah, come also. Yeah, yeah, you get one. So where they go into is the restaurants. They work in restaurants. They cook your food. Hotel restaurants, those big luxury buildings, luxury hotels. They employ them also. Where else? Supermarkets. They handle the produce. People who deliver food on bikes. They do that also. But if you're a U.S. citizen like myself, and I was in the food industry in the 1990s, and I was harassed. Now, back then, I was very naive. New York City has people from all over the world, and that's what I love about New York City. I had acquaintances and friends from all over, and I had a party, and they were invited to my parties, people from all over the country, all over the world, all different persuasions. But one day, people change. And when you have a new kid on the block and they start to get traction, they start to get cocky. And that's what I call the microaggressions start to occur against you. And I'm thinking, why? Is it my imagination or am I being mistreated now? I was very open to people. I've always been with different people. My grandparents were immigrants. I was always open, always. When I started junior high school was when I was introduced to people from all over the world. So for 50 years, I've been exposed to international community here in New York City. And it was never an issue until you go into the workforce and you have to compete for jobs. I'm a black woman, born and raised here, and a veteran of the United States Navy. And that didn't even protect my status here in America. And so what happened? Oh, it did it again. So I can't say the A word. People, let me, you got to let me know what's going on. Is it happening on your end or is it just on my end? The screen went black again. Okay. See, they don't want you to get this content because they want you in the dark. They want you in the dark. That's what this means. So, okay. So I mentioned about 5 years ago when I go on the bus to go to South Jersey with a friend. And then in the 1990s, I did a career change and I went into the food industry. I got a certificate in doing pastries, desserts like that. And I landed a job at the hotels. I worked in several different hotels. And I was one of the few black women. I met one black woman in only one of the hotels I worked in, hotel restaurant, very high-end restaurant. And everybody else basically were from other countries. And these are union jobs. They pay good money. You get in, you stay in. If you could, you have a probation, a 3-month probation. Well, they didn't want me to pass my probation. I was harassed by people from training, a European, this French girl. This French girl got me canned because she got offended for something that she did against me. It was really weird, people. See, these are what you call aggressions. And they feel that they are your masters, some of them. At least this white French girl. It was unreal. And she was just in a special program. See, the U.S. also has a special program for Europeans, um, at least with France. And it's an agreement that they will bring X number of people from France to learn for a cultural exchange in the cooking field because, the French are known for their cooking. It's a special 18-month program. And after the 18 months, they send you back home. And she had more authority than me and got me fired because she did something to me to sabotage my work. And I went to a person that I work right next to, and I was venting to them what this girl was doing. Well, this girl went to someone high up and got me fired immediately. These people have more power and authority than you. And then there were also, I worked in several different hotels during this time while I was in school, in a cooking school. Um, they were illegals from Central America. And then I noticed one of them started acting really weird. And like she would say loud, oh, you're not doing it right. I realized she was setting me up. And they had this other guy, an Asian guy, never seen him before. And he was telling me about who is he? I was set up there too. This is what they do. Um, and I was the only black woman there. Everybody else was from somewhere else. And this was, again, a high-end restaurant, a four-star restaurant that I worked in. And this is what's happening. And I noticed that one of the people there that worked in the room that I worked in, uh, every time someone official was going to come in the room, she would hide in the back. And I said to him, this was in the 1990s. And I said, wow, is it my imagination? But every time this, I said, oh my God, this must be what you call an illegal. Yeah. And then when I was in, get this, when I was in the cooking school in the 1990s, we had to do an, sorry people, the screen went black again. It went black. See, they don't want you to get this content. They don't want you in the know. So either way, like in the 1990s, I went to this, we had an internship portion of this training for learning how to do baking, desserts. It was a very good program. The school is no longer around. Um, it was a 13-month program. Um, and during the program, we had to do what I call it, and it's an internship, but they use the term externship because you have to physically go to an establishment that they place you in, the school places you. And I had an opportunity to work in a chocolate factory. It was a very small operation. The person was originally from Canada, and they made high-end chocolates. His product is excellent. But I worked there for about 5 months. I started in the summer, and it ended tragically in December, late December in 1997, the end of 1997. And what happened was this. Now, this chocolate maker recruits people from the school, and it's free. We work. I think it was 19 or 20 hours a week there, on our dime. We don't get any reimbursement. We don't get any food or anything. You have to pay uh, to get there. You pay for your own lunch. You know, it's on you. Okay, so it's free labor that they get. Well, toward the end of December, we got this new person. Now, get this. We get this new person, and he was from Colombia, and he seemed personable. You know, he was friendly. He knew a little English, and I had to show me and this other person. He was also from my school. He was from an earlier graduating class, and he also was of the Alphabet Soup community, and the owner of the shop was from the Alphabet Soup community. The Alphabet Soup community does very well in New York City, and they tend to have money, and they hire their own. Just saying, people, just sharing information. Um, so they brought on board this person from that particular country, and I had to work with them for 3 days. Everything seemed cool, and I had to leave. On the third day he worked there, I'm on my way home, and he's on the train with me. But I noticed, like, slowly, I started to smell like alcohol on him, you know. Um, and then we get on the train, and then boom, he has a mental breakdown on the train that I'm at, and he was insisting that I marry him. I kid you not, people. He insisted that I marry him because they're gonna deport him, and he had a mental breakdown. So at some point, when we were in the little small operation chocolate factory, and getting on the train, something, whatever what he took, kicked in, and he had a mental breakdown. And I was scared on that train. I was very timid back then, very, very timid. And I stayed calm. And then when it was time for me, I got off that train. And I think it was that morning, yeah, because I got home late in the evening. That morning, I called up my school. And I told the school what happened to me, and I called the chocolate factory guy, the guy who trained me, who was also a graduate of the school that I was attending. And I thought we had an excellent relationship, working relationship. Well, guess what happened, people? I get kicked out. And it did it again. Did it? It just went black, the screen. I'm back on. I'm back on. Okay. So that's what happened. Um, the owner, an alphabet soup person from Canada, yelled at me, called me a liar. He said, "Well, I talked to him because when I called the school and I called the guy that this other, former student of my school that I went to that trained me there, um, he relayed the message to the owner who when he came in, and the owner talked to the guy from that particular country, and the guy played stupid. He says, "Oh, he doesn't know what the word citizenship means." Oh, really? He says, "You're a liar." And um, I had worked hours. Like every week, we're supposed to submit our timesheet. But the guy, this particular guy, um, the owner, he was on special medication, and he would sleep in the back, and his behavior was erratic. I don't know whether it was AIDS medication or something. He was of that persuasion. So he was taking something, and it gave him erratic behavior. So I was afraid to, I should have told the school. Um, I He needed to sign my timesheets. Well, I had to. He didn't want to sign them, and my my not my my school teacher starts yelling at me I'm the victim. I'm the one that's paying for this school. It costs a lot of money. You go to these trade schools, it costs a lot of money. So I eventually, I was able to get the timesheets signed by him. He had to beg his friend. And my teacher also was of the alphabet soup community, just saying. Um, how did this person from the other country, uh, and again, I'm working for free, and I'm sure this man had to get paid to work there. He's not going to work for free. He's an illegal. He got to work money. So what happened? So he was willing to hire an illegal. He could have brought on another person from the school to do the internship because at one time there was two of us doing the internship for him. So it's free labor. So what's going on? Someone, it seems like someone is trafficking these people to work in certain establishments. And even the US citizens who are doing the internship for free, no reimbursement of any kind, and these questionable people have more rights than you. They can lie on you. They can do things, set you up. This happened in 1997, this incident. I needed that job. So the school had to find me another externship. I only had 3 days left. 3 days left to finish my time requirement to fulfill the externship. 3 days. That's equivalent to 20 24 hours. So 8 hours. Let's say 8 hours a day. 8, 6, 24. Yeah, 8, 16, 24. Total of 24 hours. So he hurriedly placed me at another place. Okay. And I was able to graduate with my class. So these are the things. So they are endangering the citizens of America, even in these trade schools that you pay for. Wow, the screen is getting weird again. This is what happened. This is what's happening, people. This was in 1997. This happened to me. Let's go back in time again. Um, I remember. Oh, I almost forgot. Oh, yeah, almost forgot. During 9/11, remember 9/11 with the those two buildings that had that incident happen? I don't think I mentioned it. Well, anyway, what was happening there? See, there's a setup. I'm trying to link the dots together. Well, back then in 2002, there was an incident that incident that happened. They were recruiting people. They get this white truck and they bust in the illegals into Manhattan. Well, I'm not supposed to say that word. Well, either way, they bring them in on these white buses. And then they have them work in these department stores. And they don't have to learn English. And then they start to try to push you around. And an incident happened to me there. And I was attacked by this person of that ethnic group in front of the manager because they were supposed to sign for their check and they didn't want to sign for it. And I warned my manager. I said, "Hey, manager," and also my manager was of that background, but she's here, lawfully. She was a manager, and I told several managers, "Hey, this person is doing things to me, and I think she's going to try to attack me." So they just said, oh, well, you do what you're supposed to do, and they are required to sign because they didn't want to sign for their check when they get their paycheck. I handled the paychecks, I issued them out. And so what I feared did happen to me with her there. And they covered for this girl. Well, guess what happened, people? I was let go and not the person that did the attacking. And there was another black female. She was being groomed for management. She was an assistant manager. She was new to the position, and she had witnessed something that had happened to me there. And there was a series of managers that I was talking to and telling them, hey, that such and such, I reported the thing. And so the girl in training, the black American girl in training, because she had witnessed a certain thing that happened, she said, "Oh yeah, I was there, and yeah, that did happen." And they all looked at her like, "You're not supposed to say that." Okay, that type of look. Well, what happened? They started to harass her, and they threatened her to fire her. Well, let me tell you what that black American girl had to do. She had to go and find another department to hire her, to transfer her to. Because if she didn't move from our department, they were going to fire her. So for her survival, she got a transfer to another department to save her job. This happened in 2002. And so you have these trucks bringing in illegals to replace and to harass you, American citizens. This happened in 2002. Yes, I noticed things back in the day, in the 1980s. They were, what they did in the 1980s, they were bringing on people, and they back then they did mostly babysitting, nanny work, things like that. Sorry, people, it's doing it again. Sorry. I hope you guys could hear me. Yeah, I'm having problem. Those who are just coming on and viewing this, every time I'm talking and say certain words, if I don't catch myself, the screen goes black. My battery is charged, so I know that's not the problem. Okay, they don't want you to get this information. But share this information. And those of you who like this content, please, you could PayPal me. You can find the link on my web, on my, I'm sorry, my channel, Spirit Journey. And on the banner, you see the link to my PayPal me. Just click on the link and follow the prompt. I thank you in advance for any monetary gift you can send me. Yeah, these are trying times for um, content where, people who produce content for you, and they don't want you to get certain information. They don't want us connected to one another. This is a group effort to share the news, that's happening to your country. So anyway, so what was happening in the 1990s, they were slowly bringing in a lot of people from certain countries to do certain work. And some, like, and back then the news was, they wanted to shame some of the women. Yeah. See, the United States was changing back in the 1980s, but it really started in the 1970s with the women's rights movement, and women were being, women were wanted, well, really white women in particular. Black women always had to work, but in general, the movement got, the women's rights movement got strong ground. And you find in the 1970s that women were working in traditional men jobs, and women were working outside of the home. And so now these women needed someone to watch their kids. And so that's where they were funneling in. See, this is social engineering, people. It didn't just happen overnight. It happened in stages. That's why I'm doing and sharing this content like this. It happened in stages. What's happening now in New York City is chaos. But it took time to get to this point. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't just happen uh, in 2020. It happened all the way back. And I'm just connecting the dots to my understanding, my interpretation of some of the things and the steps, what happened. So women would now, a lot of women were getting divorced. Women were forced to get jobs, and some women just wanted another job, go to college and all that, you know. And so they needed people to watch their kids. And that's when a lot of the trickling in and servicing this new need, but not realizing that this would be interfering with the fabric of America. The now children weren't being taken care of by their parents. They were being taken care of by people from other countries, learning other cultures. It's disintegrating the family. There's nothing wrong with someone being from another country. Let me add that. There's nothing wrong being from any country. But what's wrong is when people are being socially engineered to destroy the fabric of this, where we live now. And so children weren't being supervised the same way. They felt abandoned by their parents. And kids started experimenting more with the drug scene. Um, and then more and more migrants, more and more, and they started to get more and more rights. They have more rights than you. And we didn't see it coming. And then also in 1980, like some of the women that were like the newscasters, they make a lot, they could make a lot of money here, the people on TV. And they were trying to shame the women who were making money. Oh, you let these illegals babysit your kid. And I know of people, even in my family, that used people from certain parts of the world, and that was the normal. Okay, I'm back on. Sorry about that. It did it again. It did it again. The screen went black and froze. Yeah, but this is what's going on, people. People were first forced. Families were forced to get two incomes coming in, and so there's no foundation. The kids were lost. And then the internet came on. The internet got real popular in 1990. Yeah, I know some people in the late 80s that got a computer. I think it was the late 80s or like 1989. But by 1990, yeah, we had the internet, and it grew fast. And now, look what's happening. Children are addicted to the internet. I'm addicted to the internet. We're not communicating with each other in person. A lot of things are just by internet. We're not going out. We're not socializing in person anymore. You go to those coffee shops are all over the city, and they're not even talking to each other in the coffee shops. They're on their computer. Hello, people. And while you got blinded by your computer, more and more people from other places are taking over your city. They are taking over your city and are real cocky, just like they were real cocky uh, in the company by the World Trade Center when they're bringing the people in the white trucks. Start noticing buses that coming into your community. Are you a black person and you live in a like Detroit, um, Dallas, all these large city, LA. Start noticing if these weird buses are coming into your neighborhood and then dropping off people, and somehow they get these employments, and they're working alongside you. They are here, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, based on history, my personal history, that they are being used to eliminate you, black man and woman. They have more rights than you. They can say anything about you, and they need any excuse to let you go so that they can hire a um, low skilled worker, low income. They don't want to pay. They don't want to pay, what do you call it, health insurance. They want to give you maybe part time work so they don't have to give you benefits. That's the other way around it. They are pushing you out. And now in New York City, fast forward back to 2023, the migrants now are starting to outnumber locals. A lot of the affluent people left the city. So you're filled with what I call the alphabet soup people. Again, what you like is your business, and you have rights to your own body, your own likes, and lifestyle. But it's creating an atmosphere of getting you into a lifestyle that could be dangerous for your well being. And in that process, they're also pumping in you to become IV drug users. It is affecting your mind, and this is especially in the black community here in New York City. So now, where am I in all this? Well, I see my beloved city that I love very much. I was proud of it. And now I'm wondering what I have to do. And so, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this live stream, that sometimes you have to do radical things, and maybe you're not crossing your T's and dotting your I's, and you're not doing your homework as carefully as you should. Sorry about that. Sorry, my phone. I mean, my tablet just phased out again. I don't know why it's doing this, people. I apologize for this. Yeah, so I feel like no matter what I do, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this live stream, I do tarot card readings on myself. I have several decks, and I did a reading about whether I should stay or go. And it was really interesting, the reading. Basically, if I stay here, the tarot card read that you cannot avoid what's going to happen. What is in line for New York City is going to happen. And I did two readings regarding New York City. The one I did yesterday and the one I did a couple of days ago. Yeah. And this particular thing came in yesterday. Um, I can't really say what it is right now, but it's an opportunity. That's all I could say. It's an opportunity, and I have to find out what I have to do. I see the writing on the wall. If I stay, certain things will happen. It's destined to happen in New York City, and it's letting me know it's something that you cannot avoid. So, where do you go? Anything could happen. in any location, anything. No matter, you cannot run away from yourself, people. You cannot. I am a black American woman, no matter where I go on this planet. And being someone from a, uh, a trained background, I have two college degrees. And sometimes what happens when you're dealing with people from what we call migrants, they know basically that they can size you up. They can size you up, and they pretty much know what type of demographics you belong to. What's your caliber? They could pretty much set you up, size you up, and then they go for the move. And I feel that's what my life is like here in New York City, being someone of what I look like and what my work background is. And I see that I'm being hindered. They don't want me to move up the ladder. And I share with you my experience in Hawaii. Did you know that the state of Hawaii has a whole bunch of illegals from across our borders here in the U.S. mainland? Did you know that? Did you know that the same thing during the 1990s, remember I mentioned that I worked in the food industry and I got my certification in pastry arts? Yeah, I graduated with honors. I worked my buns off and I had to pay a lot of money for it. And I got blacklisted in New York City and I was forced to move out of state after I graduated from the school, the cooking school. And I went to the beautiful island of Maui, that same island that in Lahaina, remember that? That was about 6 weeks ago, the fire in Lahaina. And the jobs that I worked at on Front Street in Lahaina, that was the city that got burnt down to a crisp. And you can look on Google Earth, and you can see where I used to work. I did a video on that and I showed you guys on it. And I worked, oh God. They had more rights than me, people. They were allowed food. They could eat the scraps, like in the cooking field. You'd have like carrots and things like that. You have the leftover stuff in their prep, and they allow them to like make a like a vegetable broth, and they have their lunch. Yes, sorry there. It did it again. It did the glitch again. Sorry about that. Yeah, people, I'm letting you know. When I worked there in Hawaii, now I didn't. When I went to Hawaii, it was the first time, and no, I didn't do a scouting trip. I was blacklisted in New York City for getting employment in my field. I even tried to go back into my old field of secretarial work or administrative assistant work. That was blacklisted to me also. And I was forced to leave New York City, my beloved city, and I took a chance. When I went to Hawaii, I've never been. Uh, um, I never been over there. I didn't know anyone there. I had a little money saved up. Uh, I was in fear. I didn't want to be homeless. And I took a chance. I bought a one-way ticket. I bought one suitcase and a box of my cookware. And in 2 weeks, I was able to get a room in a house that I had to share with people that were stealing my food. And they made it known to me what they call black people there, and that in 1970s that black people were chased off the island. Now, why would you say that to me? Yeah, I had to rent a room in a house in Lahaina. I was the only black person there, only female in that house. But they made sure those white dudes told me, well, one of them told me that. But they said it in front of the other people. Why do you need to tell me that in the 1970s black people were chased off the island? People, do you think this is what you call microaggression that I told you about? Yeah, there were things like that in Hawaii. Hawaii was very racist against black people, black Americans, even though you make up only 1% of that population there, about 1% of the population. And I worked at that restaurant. It was a nice place. The owner was good, but practices. And I had a boss, a supervisor, who was from. He was married to an American, and he was from across the border. He was Americanized, um, but he would harass me. And I was hired around the same time as another girl. She was what you call a local. She started a day after me. Now, technically, the person that got hired last should be the first one to go. Well, they let me go and made up some excuse. They said, well, even though she started after you, but I saw her first during the interview. Doesn't matter. It's when your starting date was. When was your starting date? So they favored the other person over me, and that the preferential treatment to these foreigners. They were allowed to get food, have their lunch together, and I made the false assumption on my part. Shame on me, yes, shame on me. I assumed that I can do the same thing with the scraps, and the owner's son yells at me. Yeah, this was horrible. I was embarrassed. But how I felt. How did I feel? I felt like crap. I felt unloved. And this was an American guy that did that to me. And that these immigrants have more rights than you. And I'm a veteran of my country. I served proudly in the United States Navy. And this happened to me. Yeah, so over the course of my years, I saw a constant theme, but I didn't press the. Oh, sorry, people, it did it again. It did it again. The screen went blank and is shutting down. Yeah, so yeah, I'm back on. So, yes, this has happened to me, but I just thought it was just my bad luck. No, people, this is warfare. This is a subtle warfare that's been developing over a course of time. First, they attacked the family, and the excuse was the women's rights movement, and then you had the black movement, the Civil Rights Act. So now blacks were getting affirmative action, and white women were getting uh, management jobs to fill, the affirmative action thing. Remember that? And then now the family is getting separated. You bring in people from other countries to babysit and do that. And then slowly and slowly, the trickling in of unvetted people. And then now, again, they're supposed to say that about the danger of getting certain types of health conditions, if you know what I mean, what happened the past 3 years. Um, if it was that necessary, how come none of these people from across the border are being tested? Why is it that they don't have to get tested or get the jab in the arm if it was so dangerous. You have over 100,000 of these people in New York City. 10,000 enter every month. 10,000. This is what you call warfare. And these people from across the border, also someone is purchasing for them these high-powered, uh, whether the mopeds or something like they're something like a motorcycle. Who's funding them this? What are they going to use their motorcycles for? Well, I saw in one video that a person was being attacked by someone on one of those bikes. Hello, people. Could you be next? Could you be next, big city? How that they could, I'm just speculating. Yes, that incident happened. Someone got attacked. Could this be something to intimidate the residents here and use it to intimidate, to rob, to terrorize the population? It's just a question that I have. I'm sure some of these migrants are very decent people. They're hardworking. Yes, they're hardworking. But slowly but surely, over time, these microaggressions come in, and especially if you're a black American, female, your rights aren't protected. Your rights are not protected. And then you get angry, black woman, when you said about Trump being a bigot, a racist. Yet he's born and raised here and has never done anything against me or the black community that I know of. I've been here in New York City as an working adult for 43 years. I've worked in one of his buildings, and he had people. I mean, I didn't work for him, but I worked at an establishment that housed, that employed illegals. I also visited Trump Tower, that very fancy one where he used to live in New York City on 57th Street on Fifth Avenue. I personally went in there in the early 1980s, around 40 years ago. I personally went in there. It was real high end looking back then. They used to have those guys. Sorry, people, they did it again. Yeah, see, I used the T word, number 45, and they didn't like it. Okay. But yeah, I personally went into his building, and no one racially profiled me. No one called me the N word. No one bothered me. No one. And I was a black teenager, or 20 years old by that time. And blacks were very hated in New York City. Young black people, as I was 43 years ago, were vilified. And I personally went and visited and shopped in the store, that man's store, that man's building, I'm sorry, not store. He owns the building. And no one bothered me. No one. But a lot of black women got all huffy, and they went on the race card bandwagon against him. You believed everything what the communist, socialist, Marxists told you, and you were used in the election because many black people work in the election booth, or not the, what do you call it? They handle the ballots and everything. And what did you see? What happened in Georgia? Georgia was shown doing this. You had black women They had these boxes underneath their desk. And then when these officials left, they took the boxes and they started putting them through the machine several times the same ballot because, oh, you can't get bad so and so reelected. You fools. You have these people from across the border that are pushing you out of your job, pushing black men out of their job because of a false narrative. And then you believe BLM. You believe their lies, and that organization, if you go on their website, I don't know whether the website was still on. Someone told me about the website, and I personally looked. Did you know that a lot of those people, that they're lesbian? Did you know that? Did you know that black community? If someone is, again, you have the right to like what you like. You have the right to marry who you marry. You have the right to date who you want to date. That is your business, what you like. But I'm only asking if you are not about promoting the black community, community has to do with both men and women and their families. And their families. They were not, this organization was not about promoting the black family or any family. It was about an agenda. It was about an agenda to get you, black family, questioning your gender, uh, they sponsored, meaning that they paid for people to have sex change operation. And I thought the money was because of George Floyd being killed, right? Isn't that what they were promoting? Because of, or actually, the organization started because of Trayvon Martin, the 17-year-old who got murdered by George Zimmerman 11 years ago. It started 11 years ago, but I only learned of it when number 45 came into office and everybody was against him. And it was to weaponize ignorant black people to believe a lie and to get rid of number 45 by any means necessary. And in the end, who got hurt? What businesses during the past 3 years got vandalized because of this BLM? Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm back on. Okay, it's okay. It's continue, but it's reading that it. Okay, I'm resumed. Yeah, it cut me off really bad that time. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep it cut it short now. I said I've been on for 101 minutes. Yeah. So we're being used, people. Black America was deceived, in my opinion. Again, this is just my opinion. If you listen to this video from the beginning to the end, you're going to see a pattern of behavior. And it trickled down the line. There was a first initial separation of families, and then to compensate for women and so-called minorities having to, the right to, affirmative action and all that, they started bringing in more migrants. And also, they're recruiting more people from Asia to take white people's job, primarily white people's job. These are the high-skilled technical jobs, scientists, all that. You go to the universities, uh, in some locations, half of the people are international students, and they don't go back to their countries um, when they finish college here. They are employed. So that was the other thing that they're doing. It was slow process, But now it's full force. You go into certain college towns in New York City, that's all you see. International students being hired, being recruited for high paying jobs. They are the only ones that could afford these high rise apartments that are springing up. And then if you're a black person, American, your job is being phased out by the migrants. They're being recruited in. So yeah, families now, both parties are forced to work. So the migrants fill in there. They do the babysitting. They do the other stuff. They work into the restaurant industry, the food industry. And these jobs, they do not want American blacks working in there. I personally was in the field. I personally was in the field, and I was not protected. My rights weren't protected as an American citizen and a veteran. And I look around and I see all these black men on the street doing drugs. No hope. On the street. Who's protecting their health? Why are Americans are being forced to do the jab jab, but these people from across the border who aren't vetted, they can have their kids sit next to your children who are not vaccinated, or I'm not supposed to say that V word. When you go to college here in New York City, you have to have your MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella shot, and your TB shot. You have to be tested for all that for you to sit in class. You don't get your shot, you cannot attend class. So how is it that the children of these migrants are allowed in classroom not being shot, not being vaccinated for the measles, mumps, and rubella, and be tested for TB? You even go to prison or something, you have to be tested to see if you have TB because it's highly contagious for the adults. They have them in these hotels. Some houses are even, some private houses are even housing the migrants. Someone was telling, one of the YouTubers was sharing, it was a news program. You have a house that is 1,500 square feet in size, housing 30 people, 30. Where I personally live is 500 plus square feet. Yeah, I meant to say square feet. If I said 1,500 yards, I meant to say 1,500 square feet. My apology if I said that. It's 1,500 square feet, and I live in a 500 plus square feet apartment. And it's just me and my little dogs. I would say maximum one extra adult could squeeze in here to be relatively comfortable still. So you just multiply it by 3 to equal 1,500 square feet. That would make maximum 6 people that could live comfortably in a 1,500 square feet. Well, they have 30. Shouldn't these people be tested for TB? They should be. Who is, what's that word? Who is sponsoring them? Who is sponsoring their phones? I believe they're being sponsored by some faction, some something undercover. They're giving them cell phones. They're giving them motorcycles. Could it possibly be? I'm speculating. I'm only speculating. Could it be used as like an army? They have the communication, the cell phone. Who's paying for that cell phone? Who's paying for the monthly bills on that phone? Someone is. Who's paying for the gasoline if they don't have job? They're not supposed to work. It is against the law for them to work. They're not supposed to work. And then they can only have a max, I think, if I heard right, maximum stay of 2 months in the shelter, and then they have to kick them out and put a new bunch of migrants in there. So where are the other migrants going to go? They are setting us up and going to try to, yeah, people from Staten Island are speaking out. I talked about this the other video. They are speaking out. Certain places in New York City, you have mostly whites, blue collar whites, poor whites, and they first the people from across the border are forced first into black neighborhoods. We get targeted first. Now, because you have over 100,000 of them, now they're being put into white neighborhoods. And now all of a sudden it's a problem. But it wasn't a problem when it was in our neighborhoods. So that's what's happening here. And as I said in the beginning of this live stream, that sometimes, a spirit journey may have to do questionable actions, meaning like, uh, yes, it is a time of haste. It is a time of haste, what's happening in New York City. And sometimes you have to make rash decisions. And it might look um, irresponsible. But it's like I feel caught between a rock and a hard place. What do I do? If I stay, um, I'm faced with some trials ahead and unauthorized lockdowns and forced what you call quarantine and things like that. But if I go, I bring myself, I'm a black woman. I'm a middle age. And people basically could face you. Now, I'm not a wealthy person. And I have to go, if I move somewhere, I have to move to a modest, place area. And I want to choose an area where it's safe. I want safety. Um, I mean, everything else is really good here in New York City. We have fantastic amenities here. I have affordable living here in my situation. But if I do move, I'm putting everything. I'm jeopardizing. I feel like I could be potentially jeopardizing my little dogs. They're my babies. These are my dogs. That's Lily, Lilac, and Lavender. They're older. They're going on 14 and 11. These are my babies. They're good to me. They comfort me. And they're my family. And I feel pushed. I don't want them jeopardized. I don't want them traveling long hours in confinement. They're delicate. But I may have to make a choice. If I move from here, anything could change. Someone was telling me, you have to do your homework. You gotta, think smart. You can do all the homework. You can do all the right things. And things for a season could be perfect for you, but it can change overnight. You think the people that are coming into the U.S. that they did their homework? That did they? Oh, let me just oh, put my little toe in the water and see how I like it, and then leave if I don't like it. No, they didn't do that. They are winging it. They saying regardless the cost, that they are leaving their homeland and they're choosing America. That is their decision. When your heart is set on something, regardless of, could you imagine? There are women that bring infants or toddlers into this country and that they have to cross a river to get in. And some of these kids die in the process. Could you believe it? A parent jeopardizing their little one just to come. They could have stayed on, like, like it was that dangerous for them. Let's say they're from Colombia. They could go into Brazil. They don't have to cross any river. Or they could have gone to Panama. Or they could have stayed in Mexico. But they're not. And they're risking the lives of their children to get here. Why? Because it's a belief they have that they could make a million, that their kids could have opportunity to go to school. They want to live the good life, what you see on television, at any cost. And when they get in, they don't want anybody, especially another black person, to get in the way. They treat their white counterpart one way. They're not harassing the white people the same way. They're harassing locals who are of color / black Americans. They don't respect the black women, some of them. They don't want you in certain fields. Black woman, you used to be the one to do all the cooking in America. You did the cooking. You did the cleaning. You did that. And now they're eliminating you. And let's say you get a nice office job. Let's say you're not doing the cooking and the cleaning and the babysitting, and you want to get an office job or something. Well, uh, who are they going to hire? Oh, we want someone bilingual. Yes, that's also what they used to say in the 1980s and 90s, black woman. Oh, we can't hire you. We want someone who's bilingual. Bilingual was a term for someone that spoke Spanish. And those Spanish speaking people did not have to learn English. Hello? And no, this is not an anti Spanish speaking rant. You speak any language you want to. But I'm just saying, these are some of the tricks that they did to us over time. But you believe the race card, the race card about certain people, and you went overboard with it without checking the evidence. You didn't check the evidence. You didn't connect the dots. Yes, is there racism in the United States? You bet there is. And who are the new bigots in town? I'm just saying, people, who are the new people that are pushing you out? How do they treat you when they're on the job working with you? How come you get overlooked for promotion and somebody else gets hired? Why? Because they don't want you. They never wanted you. They had you for a season, and now it's the new kids on the block, a new dispensation. And so they want to, in my opinion, they want to kill off your family. How do they do that? Well, now a lot of the men question their manhood and they think they're women. And you have women that act like men. And they have you doing the smoking, we call reefer. What is reefer? Reefer is an estrogen. It's a natural estrogen, and it feminizes. It feminizes, and men will find it difficult to conceive, to impregnate women because their hormone level goes down. The estrogen gets higher. They become feminized, and this could affect their fertility. This could affect their fertility. And if a man starts to doubt his gender or whatever, you think he's going to want to marry a woman and start a family? No, they don't want you to have families of your own. They make you think that now you don't need a woman or a man Be independent, and we'll reward you. We'll reward you, black woman, black man. Oh, you could become a mayor of a big city. You notice the mayors, that woman, what was that? I forget if she was Detroit or D.C. Lightfoot. That did you know that she's married to a woman? Again, you marry who you want to love. It is your business who you want to love, and it's your right to marry according to the law. But I'm just saying, do you think that a person like a representative like that will be about your business? You need to start voting for people that are about your business and not about based on color. You have to base it on what are the motives? What are their plans? You better find out what their plan is. Does the plan include you, or does it involve the alphabet community? The alphabet community, is being rewarded with good jobs. They are not an oppressed ethnic group, if you want to call them an ethnic group, or demographic, you can call them a demographic. They are usually the ones that um, are living or catered to when in business. Shopping areas. Certain shopping areas cater to that clientele. They get more services than straight people. And it's like, where? See, you are being rewarded to not love your own, your families. And for an alternative lifestyle, that means the death of your community. I am speaking my truth. These are things that I perceive if you start to connect the dots from 50 years ago till now. Nothing makes sense, but it does make sense because this is a new form of social engineering slash warfare against you, against all America. It's not just black America, it's all of America, all mainstream America. And they're also targeting the churches. A lot of your ministers in these fancy churches are part of the alphabet soup community. The church that Obama used to go to. What was the guy that worked there? The choir director. Oh, he mysteriously gets killed. People, you got to start opening your eyes. Again, this is not a rant against someone's preference. Your preference is your business, and my preference is my business. But I do not infringe on the rights of others. But I am exposing that there are individuals that are, in my opinion, that are doing social engineering to influence certain outcomes of certain communities. That is rampant now. And now it's at um, a critical stage. I love my country and I do not want to leave. I have too much to lose if I leave, but then if I stay, I could get hurt in the process. I'm a single female. And the people that they are bringing into the country are overwhelmingly young men in their early 20s. Early 20s. War age men that are being recruited, that are being financed, that are being housed. The children are being housed. The women coming in pregnant. And soon, when they give birth in America, in New York City, they are instant citizens. And that when these kids grow up, they could, uh, I forget the terminology, they can put in paperwork to have their parents become citizens. Hello, is this not the perfect war game? Is this not the perfect war game against you? You people. You work really hard. I see so many black American women. We're out of shape. We're overweight. We're spending all our money to get our nails done and our hair done. But we're not educating our boys and girls for survival, to be able to compete in the market. But we want to look good. But we are dumb upstairs between the ears. And you have these new people coming in who are being um, piped into your community, overtaking your community, microaggression into you. Like you go in a store and you ask for help, they don't want to help you. They're not like that to the white people. They're like that with you. And then for white America, you think you might have escaped the dangers. Oh, they're after you too. Who are in those Ivy League schools, who they're recruiting? Who are they recruiting these schools to learn sensitive information of technologies and then get into technical sensitive jobs in America? They're not going back home in their countries. They're staying here and they are being hired, and they do not want to hire the fat white American. You are outdated white America. And they're bringing in the new kids on the block to replace you. You better wake up. Your rights as a citizen, and you have a right to be hired first as an American. Like I live in New York. Why, what, shouldn't they hire the local people that live in New York City for the jobs here? Look at all these buildings here. Shouldn't you hire the people that live and work in New York City for these jobs? But they're not. They're not hiring them. They're getting people, they're outsourcing them. They used to outsource the jobs, or they bring in foreign workers here. It's not it's becoming very unaffordable for the masses here. It's very expensive. Very. So again, if I stay, I know that there's certain things that I had, and I know it's unorthodox method of determining, outcome, because I shared that I did a tarot card reading. I know it seems like ridiculous, but what if it's true? What the tarot card said. I did a tarot card with the election for number 45, and everything that the card said, I did that in 2016, the election. I did it the day before the election. And it was an accurate reading. The outcome was what it said. And so I did a reading again. And it's painted a picture, but I know that there's always, see, no matter where I go, whether I go to another state, I've been told by other YouTubers, viewers of my channel, that migrants are also in other states, not just New York City and not just Texas. They are being put in traditionally black neighborhoods in the country. So even if I go to another state, it's the same thing. What if I go overseas? Again, I'm a black woman. I am a foreigner. And if I go to other places around the world outside of the US, uh, the same thing could happen. Hey, you're foreign. Hey, I don't like you, American. Hey, you don't speak my language. They can be just as huffy. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, wow. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I love but when number 45 came into office in 2016, for the first time I felt included. I felt there was hope for the first time for me. I felt for the first time to call myself a proud American. And now we have a new administration, and now people are running like roaches, trying to go for cover somewhere. You don't know where to hide. There may be no place to hide. They're out there. This is a new type of warfare that's being played upon the public. And I believe that it is global. It is global, in my opinion. Global. We're connected by the internet. And now, if you're on the internet and if you say things that the system does not want you to say, there's a new YouTuber that I think he got X'd out. Russell Brand, his name is. Russell Brand. He's some British guy. Yes, he's kind of out there. He is way out there. I saw him a couple of times on YouTube. Well, he's also on Rumble, which was supposed to be a safe avenue for controversial, what do you call it, influencer. That's the term they use now, influencer. Well, the system is telling that he should be banned on Rumble. Could you believe that? Because he started to expose certain things. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was exposing it. And now I was told that he got demonetized. This guy has over 1 million subscribers. You know how much money you could make with a 1 million subscribers? Hello, people. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, he's a white fellow. And he is from Britain. And he speaks out on things. Yes, he's kind of out there, but he's ruffled feathers. And that's what the system is doing. When you expose what's going on and you have a high platform, they come after you. And now that's one of the tricks they do for some of the people. They attack your monetization. Isn't that coercion? Isn't that what if you had a job and your boss said, we're going to cut your wages, and you rely on your wages to take care of your family? Hello, people. It's another way to censor you. They are censoring us. They are doing things to affect your body with weird medicine. You have a right to say no. You have a right to your own medical care that you choose for yourself. No one has the right to tell you that you have to wear something over your mouth. What if you have asthma and you can't breathe? They want you to put that thing on and your CO2 levels increase in your body and you faint? Those things are not designed for people to live with 24/7. It's not designed for that. And it does not block the pathogens. You notice it never require you to wear goggles. Did you know that those pathogens could go in your eyeballs? They go right in. They could go up your nose, in your ears. Hello, people. You cannot fight those pathogens with a face mask. You know, when people work in a science lab, they have a biohazard suit on with a private air tank that is self-contained. That is what they use for viruses and bacteria when they're working with something very deadly, because they cannot breathe in any of the air that is out there. They have to use an air tank of oxygen to breathe in. You cannot breathe in the natural air because you will breathe in that pathogen. Those pathogens can go through masks, but they had us panic. And they had us, some of the people here in New York City, they got mighty ugly with me. People that would never talk to me were not getting verbally aggressive with me. And I'm concerned about that they could, yeah, oh, what was the other thing? Yeah, I heard like in Hawaii. Yeah, I think Hawaii was also part of the system. And they want to implement, I heard that they want to try to force the people that were displaced to live in, what do you call it, containers. Containers. A small unit, but like the hotels, they have several rooms. Now, Hawaiian families or people of Hawaii in general have a lot of kids in general. And the places that are left that have rooms are the hotels that didn't burn down. But they're not using them for some of the people. They use it for, they want to reissue, what do you call it? Oh God, how could I forget the name? Tourists. They want to resume tourism back in Maui that had that bad fire about 6 weeks ago. Yeah, they want to reestablish tourism and are promoting them in the large hotels. They have several rooms in them, but for the locals who lost their homes to live in a container, those metal containers, they're angry. They had this one guy, local guy, speak out. He's hurt. He says, you're giving more room to tourists who have maybe two people with them, while the families of Hawaii have about six people living in one room. They need more room, but they are not going to be looked into. It is about money and what can generate money in that area. And also in the Hawaii, that there is a large number of illegals there. See, people don't talk about Hawaii. I lived there in Hawaii. I lived there in Lahaina, the place that got burnt down when I left there 22 years ago. Over 22 years ago. And I saw what was happening. I saw the favoritism of certain people, and that the same pattern, that they don't want certain people working in certain industries. And it just goes with, they want those jobs. I also was in a yeah, I did many different occupations. My early life, I wanted to work in cosmetology, the beauty field. And I liked back then doing nails. Yeah, I was learning the whole thing, hair care, skin care, nail care, the whole thing, the whole, yeah. It was a school in Jersey City. It was a very good program. Um, and my I got myself in a job. I had gotten a job in a nice salon, a beauty salon that did manicuring. And again, they had people from south of the border there, and they would talk behind my back. Some of the people there, yeah, back then they didn't. Things were very socially segregated in the hair salon. This was what you would call a high-end white salon. You know, a lot of the people that come there are white, and do we have hire one black hairdresser in case one of the black celebrities of that day come in there, and that's what he was hired for. Now we go to the same schools. I went to the same school that these whites went into, but yet they don't want to do black people here. Well, anyway, with the manicure, so I was in school at the time, in beauty school, and I'm the type of person, even back then in the late 80s, um, to dive in, you know. I'm that way. It's either I'm going to do it or I'm not. And just started the school uh, 4 months, 2 or 4 months, no, I think it was 4 months prior. Oh, no, no, it was 2 months prior. And I wanted to find out what it would be like to work in the field. So I talked to the owner of this salon that I just walked in randomly. I said, I'm a student at such and such school. I'm learning to be, do this. And I wanted to try out, start out doing some manicuring, basic manicuring. She said, okay, I'll have you do the shampoos and basic manicuring. And the attitude, it was the same attitude. It's like, what are you doing here? There was no black women there. And again, I was just really doing basic manicuring and shampoo. What they call a shampoo girl, you know? And you had the manicures who were from other countries. They're all from other countries. And some of the hairdressers, half of them were American. At least half of them were Americans, and others were from other countries. So it seemed like even back then, just even in the beauty industry, that they try to recruit and favor foreigners. Why? Because you can pay them less. You can pay them less. And that they want to get their friends in that position and they don't want you there. And so they would say things behind your back and complain about you. They never came to my face. One day I'm getting a notice from the boss, the person who hired me. Oh, well, she says, oh, they've been complaining about you. And I'm saying, well, no one told me anything. And they tried to, but she had liked me though, but she felt like she wanted to stay save face with those other people. So she said, okay, I'll transfer you to another division that we own. It was the Glenby Salon. Glenby was an extremely high-end store. So she said, let me make a few phone calls and I'll see if I can get you in that other location. And she meant well too. Oh no, no, I made a mistake. She said, let me call right now. So I was in the room, and so she calls, and the only thing I can hear is this. Oh, black. Oh no, first she said, oh, do you need a manicurist? We got a manicurist here. You need one over there? Oh, great, great, great. Oh, black. Oh, 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 okay. So and so. Could you step out the room for a moment? What was said? That they don't hire black people. I work for the company. I work for the parent company of who owns Glenby Salon. It was at an extremely high-end location on Fifth Avenue. Yeah, they did uh, hair, a beauty salon. It did everything. The lady on the other end didn't know that I was in the room, and they said they do not hire black people based on what was she what she's saying to out loud to the lady on the other phone. So she had to cover it up. But yeah, so these are just entry jobs. So it's not because black people don't want to work. They don't want black people in these entry level jobs. They don't want us to touch them. They don't want to be near us. But they don't mind being near people who aren't vetted and that the labor is cheap. And now it's backfiring. That was in 1980s, early 1987, over 30 something years ago. And it's 2023 now. You think anything has changed? No. Now they also are including white people, and they're getting rid of their jobs. During the COVID, they got rid of a lot of their jobs. So now they are forced to work from home, what they call a digital, what do you call it? A digital nomad. So these white people are being forced out the country and to try to find work for themselves on their computer and work in other countries because it's too expensive for them to stay. People, why you guys are so quiet out there? You're not saying a damn thing. I'm giving you valuable information. I'm not here to offend anybody. I am sharing you with a lifetime of things that I personally observed and experienced for the past 43 years. And we don't seem to be teaching our children what's up. And you believing the race card when they're out to get both of you, white and black America. They don't want any of us now. They already have people to fill the spot of white America primarily from Asia. And no, this is not an anti-Asian rant. I'm just telling you what the new trend is. They're being recruited from East Asia and South Asia to do the technical jobs, to be your new doctors. And they're being employed in government agencies like the Veterans Administration, the VA. The VA. I've been going to the VA hospital for over almost 30 years. No, I'm not mistaken. Over 25 years. And I'm usually the only female there because it's overwhelmingly men that go there. And the doctors were primarily white and Jewish. And then they get like the phlebotomist, the person that takes your blood. And some of the nurses, yes, they're people of color. They are people of color. Or the people at the desk, they're people of color. But the uh, doctors, the professional licensing, they get other people for that. But all of a sudden now, I had to go there to the VA, and now they are employing people from I think they're from communist China, and they run departments now. Where do these people come from? How did it get that job? Why couldn't they fill it with an American or black American? Most of the people that go there are black people. So how come the management or the people in, the upper management, how come they're not using black people for it? Why? And I felt I was being bullied by one of them. And it's like I start to wonder, based on certain events that happened. Like I didn't want to wear a mask. And I think I got target, what do you call, marked, you know. There were certain things that happened. And I was like bullied by this one. Uh, he was, I was told that he's in charge of the whole division where my doctor works, the floor where my doctor is. Well, I went to get uh, paperwork to get like I had to get testing for that particular thing, that particular pathogen. And I need a letter because I wanted to take I didn't want to take the one up the nose, the testing up the nose, but this one that you spit in. And so I just asked for the doctor if they're in. Uh, it's something that I needed them to fill out. Well, all of a sudden, okay, the nurse of my doctor comes in. I told her, oh, I want to see my doctor. I need to get such and such done. She says, okay, wait a minute. And then she brought in the Chinese fellow. Real big dude. Real big dude. Way over 6 feet. And big bone, too. Usually they don't come that big. But yeah, this guy was. And he didn't like that I didn't have a mask on. And at one point, I felt he was trying to bully me. I stood my ground. Yep, and I think I got marked. Yep. When I came, another day when I came in, to come in, I see one of them right across from me, but like staring at me. He was where the police were. Yeah, when you go to the federal buildings, they have police, federal police or something like that, and they have their weapons, okay? And he was standing right next to me, and I noticed he was staring at me. And I wondered, what the hell, why is he? I don't know who he is. And then it dawned on me. I wonder whether I was flagged that anytime I come in there. So that's why I stopped going there. I stopped going to that location. Yeah, it's just getting crazy at these offices. The things that they put you through. It's really bizarre. So I'm about my interests. I don't want someone to force me or to spy, stare, watch me um, for no reason. I am a good person. I am pro-American, and I don't like people from some other country spying on me. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. I know I said a lot, people, and I really hope you like this content. I'm sharing this with you so that you can start opening your eyes. Yes, some things that we do, what I do, may seem a little extreme, like if to never be at a place and you're going to go there anyway. I've always been this way. When I moved to Hawaii, I've never been there before when I went there. I did the same thing, went to the Caribbean to live. I never been there before, but I did it. And I did because I felt forced to. That if I don't do anything, I'm damned. And if I do it, then I can still, have repercussions down the road. Anything could happen. You could try to dot your T, I mean, we go cross your teeth and dot your I's. You could do everything. You can read up on everything about a particular subject, and you still come out short. And I'm sad about this because I don't want to jeopardize my livelihood. It's hard to get housing. It is hard to get housing. And yet people being bumped all over the place. And I know there's a gamble. There's a gamble in life. But you know, I've survived this long. I've survived this long. And I pray that the system of love, peace, and joy surround me and protect me in all my ways. I pray the same thing to you people who are watching this live stream, who want a sense of hope. I want to give you hope. I know I said a lot of heavy things. I shared it with you to open your eyes and for you to start examining what's happening around you. That's why I'm sharing this. So maybe you may have influence and be able to speak out and share your truth. We got to do something. We have to do something. So with that last note, I want to thank you all for listening to this live stream. And again, this my intent was not to harm anybody's feelings as pertaining their lifestyle or for being an immigrant. We are all human beings and we deserve respect. But what I see what's happening is that things are being socially engineered for certain people's demise. And that's what I'm against. What you do with your body, who you love, is your own business and not mine. But reciprocity, you know, it goes both ways. You can't have your cake and keep it too. You know, you can't eat your cake and keep it too. So that's all I have to share. Thank you again for listening. If you like this content, please feel free to PayPal me. You can do so by going to my channel, Spirit Journey, and on the banner, you see a PayPal me link. Click on the link, follow the prompt, and any amount would be greatly appreciated. And I thank you in advance for your wonderful gift of support. Peace, love, joy, and harmony. May you walk in your light. Take care. And until next time, folks, see ya.